Hello, today is going to be part 2 of my film shelf tour. So I already have a part 1, so you should go watch that before you watch this. But this is just the second half of the tour of my film shelf because I collect films and I'm going to show you all the films that I have. And I said in part 1 that I would come to part 2 with some statistics, so I have them for you. So if I'm counting correctly, I have 105 films, DVDs in my possession, and I have watched 101 of them. So there are 4 that I am yet to watch, which I think is pretty good stats, although I did think I'd seen them all, but I have not. So I will rectify that as soon as possible. But yeah, let's get into the second half of my film shelf. And the way that my film shelf is organized, it's organized by color. So part 1 was all the ones who have white cases, yellow, orange, red and pink cases, and I think a little bit of like green and grey. So this time we've got some more green and we've got all the blues ranging into from light blue all the way to dark blue into black. So we have the darkest scale of the darkest spectrum of colour, I suppose. So let's get right into it, starting in the green section. First up, we have the movie Tangled. Now in part 1 I said that I have quite a few Disney movies because they are essentially every single Disney DVD that my family bought, and I now have them all. So we have Tangled. Tangled is a very good Disney movie. It's probably one of my faves. Yeah, and I have it in my possession. Next up, we have absolute classic. We have Freaky Friday, the one with Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis. I love this film so much. I watched it as a child and I continue to watch it as I grow up, and it's so good, it's iconic, it's so fun, it's so entertaining, and I love it very, very much. So I would highly recommend anyone to watch this. It's just a little easy watch, but it's so entertaining as well. It also makes me cry. I love it. Next, another Disney, we have Mulan. I think maybe in part 1 I had Mulan 2, so this is Mulan number 1. As I said in part 1, I do prefer Mulan 2, but also, you know, Mulan number 1 is also a classic. Next, another Disney, because we're going for all the greens, I have Princess and the Frog. I really like Princess and the Frog, and I really, really love the music as well, especially the song Almost There. It's just such a jam. Next up, this is a classic for people who are my age, I suppose, who are 24 and around my age, around my generation. But this is The Fault in Our Stars, which came out, I don't even know, maybe 2014 or something. And I was so excited to watch this film. I watched it in the cinema when it came out, cried my eyes out, and got it for DVD when it came out on DVD, and made my whole family watch it. And I just love The Fault in Our Stars. It's just so, yeah, I don't know. I love it. I find it a comfort film, even though it's obviously very sad. Fault in Our Stars, if you don't know the plot, is about 2 teenagers with cancer, essentially. And yeah, it's a sad time, but I really, really enjoy it, and I like the performances, although it's a little bit, you know, it's a little bit ruined now with what we know about Ansel Elgort, so it is a little bit ruined, but I still do have The Fault in Our Stars in my possession. Next up, we have one of the only anime films in my collection. I think I have 2, so this is one of 2, and this is Your Name. My mum bought me this for Christmas because she just saw it like in Sainsbury's and was like, Laura watches anime, let's give this to her. And this one was really, really good. I really, really enjoyed it. It has quite a big twist, which is quite fun, but it's essentially about these 2 teens who they keep like remembering each other even though they never met, and yeah, and there's twists that happen, and I'm not going to spoil it, but it's very, very good, very beautifully animated, and yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. Next, we have my favourite film of all time, or at least one of them, and this is Stand By Me. I have a whole video about Stand By Me and why I love it so, so, so much. And I love it so much, so of course I have it in my collection. But yeah, if you'd like to know more about why I love it and why it is a good movie, I do have a video on my channel all about it. Next up, switching the tone quite a lot, we have Pingu Series 1, the complete Series 1. I watched Pingu as a child. It's a kids TV show, and I think I saw this in Poundland or a charity shop and was like, you're coming home with me, because I wanted to rewatch it, but also I was like, I want my kid to watch it, because when I have children, obviously I'm 24, I don't know when I'll have kids, but when I do, I can assume that Pingu won't be on the TV because it won't be current. They might show it in reruns, who knows. But I did think like they won't be able to watch Pingu really unless we get it on YouTube or something. So I just thought, why not have the DVD and then they can watch Pingu, because I loved Pingu as a kid, and yeah, I just wanted to spread that love. Next up, and this is actually a movie my brother bought me when I was like, I don't know, 16, and first like really getting into film, like really, you know, watching a lot of movies, and this is 500 Days of Summer, the ultimate rom-com that's not a rom-com. I've actually only seen this movie once, I believe, but I really like it. I really enjoy it and I would like to watch it again. And if you don't know what it's about this guy played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and he falls in love with a girl called Summer, and it basically chronicles their relationship and their breakup, and about this guy just like essentially not being able to get over it because he feels like she's the one. And Summer is played by Zooey Deschanel, who I love from New Girl. Yeah, it's just a really good film. It's a comedy, it's very cynical, and it's very well made. Next up, one of my absolute favourite comedies of all time, we have In Bruges. I watched In Bruges for the first time when I was, I don't know, 18 maybe, and I fell in love. I love it so much. I think it is hilarious. I think the plot is very engaging. I think the actors are so good. I love Colin Farrell with all my heart. It's such a good movie and I would recommend it to anyone. It's definitely a particular taste because it's a dark comedy, but yeah, I love it. And I've actually visited Bruges and visited, you know, the locations that are in this movie, which is quite cool. I love In Bruges, and I love Martin McDonagh, I think that's how you say his name, who directed In Bruges. He also made things like The Banshees of Inisherin, which I also love, and I think has a very similar tone and comedic style to this movie. I actually prefer Banshees, and I should probably get it on DVD, but right now I only have In Bruges. But In Bruges is a very close second to Banshees. Next, another Disney, we have The Emperor's New Groove. I loved this film as a kid. I was obsessed with it. I found it hilarious, and it's still so good. I don't believe I have it in my collection, but I also love the second one, which is Kronk's New Groove. I loved that as a kid so much. I just loved it. Was like 3 different stories, I think, within Kronk's life, and it was so fun. I love that one so much, but also really like The Emperor's New Groove as well. Next up, going back to the Disney roots, which we saw a lot in part 1, we have this movie. It's a TV movie and it's called, I have to read it because I will not remember this, That's So Sweet Life of Hannah Montana. So all of these are Disney Channel shows, and Disney Channel shows would do this thing where they'd get their most popular shows at the time, most popular live action shows, and do collabs with the shows, which is actually just so iconic if you think about it. Like, imagine if, obviously Netflix is a different entity to Disney, like Disney Channel, it was obviously different, but imagine if Netflix decided to take their 3 most popular shows and make a collab. Like, that's the kind of levity it had back then. So this one combines That's So Raven, Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, and Hannah Montana, which were all which were all TV shows that I loved. So when they did this and put them all together, amazing. And I'm pretty sure there would have been 3 episodes in this, because it would have been one for each show, like to kind of have the tone and comedy of each show, because even though they were all on the Disney Channel, they were all different shows and they were a bit different tonally. So yeah, there'd be a That's So Raven episode which would incorporate everyone, there'd be a Hannah Montana one which would incorporate everyone, and the Sweet Life one that would incorporate everyone, and they'd all kind of go together as well. So this is essentially putting them all in one together, and it's like a little movie, a mini movie. They're all together, and yeah, I really enjoyed this. Loved my Disney Channel shows as a kid, and I loved this when it happened as well. There was another one that was Wizards of Waverly Place, Sweet Life on Deck, and then was it Jessie? I can't remember if it was Jessie as well, or if they just did one with Sweet Life and Wizards. I can't remember. I definitely know Jessie. Oh, Jessie and Good Luck Charlie had a mashup, I think. Maybe they just started doing 2s. That could be it. They might have just started doing 2 shows as opposed to 3, like in this one. But I remember that vividly. Tell me why there was never one for Sunny with a Chance. Like, that would have been iconic, because Sunny with a Chance is like one of my favourite Disney Channel shows. Why was there not a collab there? There was obviously Selena Gomez had a guest appearance, and there might have been other guest appearances that I'm forgetting, but there was never one of these. I feel like that was wasted. That was wasted. Sunny of a Chance would have been amazing with one of these. But yeah, this one is iconic and really, really fun. Next up, as pre-mentioned in part 1, we have Barbie. I'm sorry, I have no clue what it's called. Barbie Fairytopia Mermaidia. So this is number 2 in the Fairytopia series, of which there are 3 films. And I think this is my favourite. It's just so fun because they get to be mermaids and they get to go underwater. And like the absolute vivid memories that I have of the doll releasing at the same time as the movie, like there'd be a doll of Barbie as a mermaid, and I think I got the doll, and just such good memories there. Really like this film, would still watch it today, still holds up today, absolutely love it. And Bibble is also in this one as well. Next up, another Disney, we have Cinderella 2. So it says Cinderella 2 Dreams Come True, and I really enjoyed Cinderella 2, much like how I liked Emperor's New Groove number 2. Yeah, number 2 is, again, it's like episodic stories about different things, and I really enjoyed it. I particularly liked, there was a story about, well, there's a story about the bloody mouse, I don't know his name because I know Gus, but the other one about the mouse becoming human. There was a whole thing about that. And then there was another one that was about one of the ugly sisters falling in love with a baker, and that was just so cute. I loved that story and plotline as a kid. I found it so fun. So yeah, I have number 2, and I really enjoy number 2. Next up, we have The Perks of Being a Wallflower. Much like The Fault in Our Stars, it's just another one that just, I feel like, had people of my generation in a chokehold. I absolutely love this movie. I read the book. I think I read the book after watching the movie, and the book low-key like traumatized me because I feel like I was like 14 and I was just like, what am I reading right now? Like, it was definitely a good book, but I think I was perhaps too young, I'm not sure. But yeah, I really love this movie. I actually watched it recently with my boyfriend because it's one of his faves as well, which is really cool. Yeah, I love it so much. Like, just the memories of this movie, watching it when I was 13, because that's when it came out, and I watched it, I think I legally streamed it because like it came out in America first, as most do. And I watched it like when it came out in America because I was like, I have to see this, because I had a major Logan Lerman obsession since Percy Jackson, and this came after, and I was just so excited to see him in a movie. And yeah, I love it so much. There's such cool memories linked to this film, and rewatching it the other day with my boyfriend, I just cried my eyes out because I think as a kid I could definitely appreciate it as a movie, but I couldn't appreciate it fully because I was still a kid and I hadn't grown up. So I'm now watching it as an adult and like fully understanding everything. It's just devastating. Like, it's actually a really like depressing movie, but I think it is also like feel good by the end, and it's definitely coming of age. But yeah, I just find it really sad, and I was just crying my eyes out the whole time. And my boyfriend's like, you good? Are you good? And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I'm just feeling this a lot, and I was also on my period, and just, yeah, really feeling it. I did one thing I said to my boyfriend, which I think is so true. I said, I'm so glad that I had this film as a 13-year-old, and that I watched it as a 13-year-old, and that I grew up with this film and I got to watch it whenever I wanted, because it's such a important film, and I think it's really helpful to teens, tweens, people coming of age. I think it is, yeah, so beneficial. Yeah, I'm just really grateful that I had it. Like, it came out when I was 13, so I was in the throes of, you know, puberty and like coming of age myself essentially, and all of that. Yeah, be forever grateful for that. And yeah, I really love this film. Next up, my second animated film, like anime film, that is also Studio Ghibli, is When Marnie Was There. This is one of my favorite Studio Ghibli movies. When I saw it advertised, it just looked right up my street and I wanted to watch it. I've also read the book. The book is very different to the movie, because the book is essentially a children's book and it is quite like childish. I love this movie so much. It's probably, yeah, my second favorite Studio Ghibli, the first being Spirited Away, third being Howl's Moving Castle, I'd say, and then this is number 2. I just love it. I think it's beautiful. I love the tone. It's really sad and like depressing, but then also like happy. Yeah, I love it. I think it's a beautiful story. Yeah, just love everything about it. And if anyone wanted to watch a Studio Ghibli film, I'd say Spirited Away or this, to be honest. Next up, we have an absolute banger and a classic. We have Legally Blonde. I love Legally Blonde so much. It's so iconic, it's so fun, and I just love it. I just love it. It's just such a fun, feel-good time, and yeah, I just really enjoy myself. I just really enjoy seeing Elle Woods winning, essentially. That's just, yeah, that's all I want to see, to be honest. Next up, I do have it in my possession. I was questioning if I did in video 1 because I wasn't sure, but I do. It's High School Musical 2, so this is the third High School Musical film I have. In part 1 I showed 1 and 3, so this is number 2. A lot of people's favourite. Also, I've got an extended edition. Crazy. I'm pretty sure that means it includes the Haka Waka song, you know, Haka Waka, that one with Sharpay and Ryan and Zach. I think that's what it means. That's the extension, I believe. Yeah, 2 is a lot of people's favourites, and as I said in video 1, I don't know which one's my favourite because I think they all have very good things about them, and I really can't choose. I just love the series as a whole. I just think the series as a whole is so good. I love number 1, love number 2, love number 3. Like, I think they all have parts that make them amazing, so I can't really choose, but I do know this is a very beloved one for many people, and I know why, because it's like, it's just so fun, and it is quite nice, I think, to be in a different setting to the high school and to just be in summer. Like, it's just so fun. But yeah, that's High School Musical 2. Next up, I have The Danish Girl. So I watched this when it came out in the cinema with my mum and probably my auntie, and I really enjoyed it. I really liked it. I thought the messaging was really important. But since years, you know, after it's come out and hearing people talk about it, like people who are actually like transgender and stuff, I realized like the problems with this movie. Like, because when I watched it when it came out, I can't remember when it came out, I would have been young, just didn't cross my mind. But like the things of like that Eddie Redmayne is playing a transgender woman, like stuff like that, when they could have hired like a transgender woman, you know, like, yeah, just stuff like that, which I just think when this actually came out was not as much in the zeitgeist, to be honest, and it just was not something on my radar. But yeah, despite the casting, I still think it's a very important story, and yeah, a very interesting film, heartbreaking, but yeah, I did enjoy it. Next up we have The Death Cure. I think in video 1 I spoke about how I have all the Maze Runner movies and how I really enjoy them, and I do. I really enjoy the Maze Runner trilogy. I read the books, love it, so I have all the DVDs, and yeah, I really like the Maze Runner trilogy, and I will die on that hill, to be honest. And as I said in video 1, I do think it's the next best one after Hunger Games. Like, sue me, I do. I think it's actually really good, so that's The Death Cure. Next up, another Disney one, we have Frozen. So funny because my niece is just obsessed with Frozen right now, and I've seen it about 1 million times now, but it's actually such a good movie, like, because I've watched it so many times with her. But I never get sick of it. Like, I'm always like, yeah, I'll watch this again and listen to it. I think it's the music, like, because it's a musical and they got like amazing people to be in the cast, like, you know, Adele Dazeem. It's just, yeah, so good, so entertaining. Love this movie and I love the music. Yep, and I have seen it so many times now thanks to my niece. Another Disney, we have Lady and the Tramp, but this is actually number 2, Scamp's Adventure. So this is like the Lady and Tramp, is that his name? Tramp. The Tramp and Lady is their son. Yeah, it's their son Scamp and him like falling in love. I don't know why, I love the second ones of these movies. I think it is literally an age thing and like when they came out in regards to how old I am. Like, it's kind of like I missed the boat for the originals, but then the second ones were like a bit more current, even though I watch and love the originals as well. But I just love the second ones. And yeah, this one is about Scamp going on his own little adventure and he falls in love with essentially a tramp girl, a tramp dog. Yeah, it's quite similar actually to Lion King 2, like with Scar's son. Is he Scar's son? I think he is. With like Scar's son. It's very similar, but yes, love Lady and the Tramp 1 and 2, but this is number 2. Next up, a bit more current, we have the Barbie movie. I got this for my birthday this year actually, and yeah, I just love the Barbie movie. It's so good. I have a whole video on why I love it. Love the Barbie movie. I think it's hilarious. It's so important. Made me cry my eyes out in the cinema. 10 out of 10. What more can I say, to be honest? Masterpiece. Another Disney, we have The Little Mermaid 2, which I don't actually think this is in here because it's not making any noise, so I don't think it's actually in here. But yes, this is The Little Mermaid 2. Again, as I said, I love the second ones of these Disney movies. I'm not sure why. But this is about Ariel's daughter Melody, who is a person. She's got legs because obviously her mum became a person and then her dad is Prince Eric, and it's literally a little reverse of the first story, where essentially she discovers that she's descended from mermaids and she wants to be a mermaid and she wants to go in the sea and she wants a tail. So it's literally the opposite of Little Mermaid. And then there's another sea witch who I'm pretty sure is Ursula's sister, yeah, who, like, you know, tries to trick her. It's very similar to the original, just the added thing of, like, you know, Eric and Ariel as parents. And yes, I really loved this one, number 2. I think it was really fun. Another Disney, we have Brave. I actually haven't seen Brave that much, but I remember me finding it, like, so sad and so, like, touching, like the whole thing about her mom and just, like, yeah, I don't know, yeah, it was just like mother-daughter relationship, and I was like, okay, I'm crying. Really enjoy Brave. Another Disney, we have Aladdin, just another one. Yeah, enjoy Aladdin. There might be a number 2 of Aladdin. If there is, that's one of the ones that I don't enjoy, number 2, but I don't know if there is a number 2, but yeah, we've got number 1. Another Disney, we've got Little Mermaid 1, so I do have number 1 and number 2. Again, this is one that my niece is obsessed with, and yeah, just iconic, classic, and I love the music. Next up, changing the tone just a little bit, we have Aftersun. This movie, this is like the most devastating movie for me. I find it very devastating, but it's essentially about a woman who's in her 30s reminiscing on the last holiday that she took with her dad. And yeah, it's absolutely devastating. Paul Mescal plays the dad, and yeah, it's just rough. Like, yeah, I just find it devastating. Yeah, I just think for me it really, like, touches home on, it's like similar to things that have happened in my life, and yeah, it just gets a little bit too close to home. Yeah, a little bit triggering, but I enjoy it. Like, it's definitely cathartic, but it makes me so uncontrollably sad. I would recommend it, but just be ready to be really sad, essentially. Next up, a movie that I absolutely love, we have Romeo plus Juliet. So this is the Baz Luhrmann version with Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes. Absolutely love this movie. I watched it in school, like when we did Romeo and Juliet, and was like, love it, banger. I really like Baz Luhrmann's movies. I really enjoy his style, and yeah, just his movies in general. His film The Great Gatsby, which is in my possession, we will get to, is one of my favorite movies of all time, along with Stand By Me. So yeah, I love Baz Luhrmann and I love this movie so much. I love the aesthetics, the vibes, the Shakespeare, the acting, everything. I love it so much. I actually find this a comfort movie, and just occasionally, like I'd say once every 2 years, I just get the urge to watch it again. Like, I'm just like, I need to watch Romeo and Juliet again. Like, I just need to watch it again. Like, the rewatchability of this for me is so high, and every time I'm gonna be like, oh, maybe they won't die, and even though I know, and then they die, and then I'm like, sad. Even though I know it through and through at this point. I have seen this movie many times, and yeah, I'm definitely overdue a watch, so maybe I'll watch it soon. But yep, I love this movie so much. Next up, we have The Disaster Artist. So The Disaster Artist is James Franco and Dave Franco and Seth Rogen, apparently. I don't remember him being there. I think Zac Efron is also in it. There's definitely like a lot of famous people in it. But it's essentially about Tommy Wiseau, who was the creator of this movie called The Room, which is like infamous for being bad. It's about how he made that movie, him making that movie, and about the process. And yeah, very star-studded cast. It's a comedy. I do like this movie. I do think it goes great when you like have watched The Room and you watch The Room and you like do a double feature, because it's just interesting to like see them both together, and I do think the lore and everything surrounding it is very interesting, and I do have The Room in my possession as well. Yeah, a little double feature of those two is quite a fun time. Next up, we have Jurassic World. So this is the first World one, the first one with Chris Pratt, and is the only one I have. I only have this one. I can't remember if this was a present or what. I can't remember, but I actually really loved this movie. I really enjoyed Jurassic World, and I think I did like the second one, and then I haven't watched any of the rest, and I really would like to, because I do think the Jurassic series is such an iconic series, and I do think it is really good. I have seen all the originals, but I watched them a while ago, so I think I'm very overdue watching them all and then watching all of these as well. And I would love to have all the movies in my possession, to be honest, every single one. But I only have this one, but I did really enjoy it, like a solid sequel, to be honest. Next we have Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. When this movie came out, I loved it so much. Like, me and my brothers watched it and we were obsessed, and we made our parents buy us all the books for Christmas because it's based on a book series. And then once I read the book and watched the movie like again, I realized the books are way better. Like, they are just way better. And obviously this movie was kind of supposed to be more than one, and then it got kind of like cancelled because it didn't do very well. But I did rewatch this movie this autumn, like, you know, for some spooky Tim Burton. I was watching quite a lot of Tim Burton, with like also the new Beetlejuice coming out. I was watching quite a lot. I actually really enjoy it. I think it's definitely not the best movie ever, but I really enjoy it. Like, I actually find it really enjoyable, really fun. I love the vibes. Like, it's just the vibes. I love the vibes. Yeah, I quite like it, to be honest, so I will continue to have it in my possession. Another Disney, we have Snow White, absolute classic. Me and my sister had this on VHS tape because we used to have little VHS TVs. We had one in our room that, you know, you'd put the tape in at the bottom, and it was like one of those old fat massive TVs. We had one of them, and we had a version of Snow White, and we would just watch it over and over. And I would always hide at the bit where the witch, well, where the evil stepmother, the queen, whatever she's called, the evil queen, when she turns into the old lady. I found that so scary with the crows. Oh my god, I used to find that so scary, so I'd always like not watch that bit and then come back when it was over. Yeah, good fond memories of Snow White, and obviously it's just such a classic. Another Disney movie, one of my faves actually, is Aristocats. Oh, I love Aristocats, it's so fun. Loved it as a kid. I loved all the little cats and like all the different colours that they were and their little bows, and I loved the music, and I just love the plot, and the drawing style of this one is so nice. And it's like, I think they're in Paris, aren't they? Or they're in France anyway. Yeah, they're in Paris. They're in Paris, and just the vibes and the look is just, it's everything I want, and I really, really enjoy this film a lot. Now, in video number 1, I talked about my scene dolls and how they had a few movies made based on the dolls, and I have one of them here. So this is one of the like shorter movies, like 90 minutes, if that. It might even be half an hour actually, it might be way less. But this is My Scene Masquerade Madness. So this was a DVD that would come with your doll. So it would come with the doll who has one of the outfits, and you could watch the movie. And I love this movie. I watched it recently, and tell me why it holds up. Like, yeah, I just love My Scene. I talked about it in video 1, but as well as Barbie and Disney and Bratz, I also grew up on My Scene, which is a line of Barbies. And yeah, I just love it. I think it's so fun. I think in my first video I said that it's essentially like Sex and the City or Gossip Girl for kids, and it literally is. And I grew up loving both of those things, so like, are we surprised? Absolutely love My Scene, and this one is just a really fun little story. Next up, we have Trainspotting. I really, really like this film, and I really, really enjoyed it. I believe we bought this one in Spain. Yep. So the back is in Spanish, but the movie's in English. Really, really love Trainspotting. I think it's so good. I've yet to see the second one. I do want to watch it because I feel like it will be good. I kind of want to rewatch this one and then watch the second one, so I need to get around to that. But yeah, love Trainspotting. It's so funny. It's so good, and also like the messaging is like important as well. Yeah, 10 out of 10. As I mentioned earlier, we got The Great Gatsby, which is one of my faves of all time. Also a Baz Luhrmann. I just love this film so much. I just love it. It's just the vibes, the emotion, the feeling, the visuals, the acting, the actors. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. I watched it when it came out when I was 13, and it's had me in a chokehold ever since. It's one of those movies that it made me feel such feelings, like such intense feelings that no other movie has really made me feel, aside from like maybe Stand By Me, which is also my favorite. Yeah, made me feel, yeah, crazy intense feelings, and I love it for that, to be honest. And I just love, I think I also love how romantic it is. It's very romantic, and I love that. And I also love the novel that it's obviously based on. I love the Great Gatsby novel, so yeah, just all around love it. Next up, we have The Mortal Instruments, City of Bones. and this is the movie adaptation of the books, and I have all the books, so the Mortal Instruments books by Cassandra Clare. I have all the books and I have read them all. Loved that series as a child slash tween. Absolutely loved it, and I actually really like this movie adaptation. I was very excited to watch it when it came out, and I went to go see it and I really loved it. Yeah, I really like it. It got cancelled after this one because it didn't do very well, and then it obviously got made into the Shadowhunters TV show, which I haven't actually watched. I watched like 2 episodes and I kind of gave up because I don't know, I kind of just preferred the casting in this one. Yeah, I really like this movie. I love those books. I can see now looking back where the problems lie, like, you know, incest and stuff, like definitely problems. As a tween, I ate those books up. I loved them, and I would like to reread them one day, just to reread them as a 24-year-old and really think like, what are these like? Because I was young reading these books. Yeah, I do really like this adaptation of it. Next up, we have Tolkien. Now, this is a movie all about Tolkien, who is the author of Lord of the Rings, and about his life, how he grew up, and kind of how he got the inspiration for Lord of the Rings and all this stuff, and like how he went to war and like all this stuff. And I really like this movie, really enjoy it. I think it makes me want to watch Lord of the Rings, and it brings like deeper meaning to Lord of the Rings, and I found it really interesting to see like how much Tolkien loved language, and like I think he studied linguistics or something at university, and he just loved language, and I find that really interesting. And I swear, I could be wrong, but I think in the Lord of the Rings, didn't he like make an entire language, like the elf language or something? Like he made an entire language, which is just crazy. Yeah, I just find it really, really fascinating as someone who also loves words and books and writing. It's just a very interesting movie. And one thing I always remember from it is in the movie, Tolkien says that his favorite word is Celador, and that's just always stuck with me. He said like how beautiful it is to say Celador, and so I think then in one of his novels he uses the word Celador to mean something else, not a Celador, as it means something else in one of his novels. And yeah, just very interesting, very fascinating, and I really want to read Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit now, because I've never read any of them. I've just watched and loved the movies, grew up on Lord of the Rings. So yeah, I need to pull my finger out and read books, to be honest, because yeah, this movie really made me want to read them. Next, my second Wes Anderson film, we have The Isle of Dogs. I really, really like The Isle of Dogs. Really enjoyed it. I definitely think it's not for everyone. I would say the way I would explain it is like a bit dry sometimes, and I just think that is Wes Anderson's style. But I think here it's done in a way that's not too much, because to be honest, I have watched some Wes Anderson films and I'm like, I can't, like, this is too dry for me. Like, this is too, like, I'm actually bored. Namely being The French Dispatch and, oh, what was it called? The Life Aquatic, whatever it's called. The one with Owen Wilson and Bill Murray when they're in the submarine. Yeah, that one was a bit too much for me as well. I really, really enjoyed this one. The stop motion is very impressive. I love the story. It's very interesting, very intriguing. I love all the dogs, and it has that quote which I absolutely love from it, which is I'm not an aggressive dog, I don't know why I bite. So iconic. Love it, love it, love it. What a good movie. Yeah, I love The Isle of Dogs. Next up, we have Dead Poets Society. I love this movie so much. If you don't know what it's about, it's essentially chronicling the lives of these like privileged rich boys at this private school in, I think, I'd say the 90s. It could be the 80s though. And like kind of like the trials that they have under the weight of like tradition, prestige, and all of this stuff. And essentially they get Robin Williams as a new English teacher who teaches them to like value other things like above what they've kind of been taught, because I guess they've been taught like to value money and science and maths and like, you know, like more concrete things, whereas he's kind of like value art and like value literature and poetry and all of this stuff. And yeah, I love this movie. It's, yeah, it makes me really sad, but I really, really enjoy it, and I know it's based on a book, so I would really like to read the book as well. But yeah, I love Dead Poets Society. Next up, we have the movie Running on Empty. Now, this is one of my favorite River Phoenix movies, apart from Stand By Me, obviously. But Running on Empty is about a family of people on the run, and essentially they live in a town for like a year or whatever, and then they've got to leave again because the parents are wanted, like for arrest. And I love it. It's so good. They essentially they stop at this one place that they're going to live at for a year or whatever, and River's character, their son, falls in love with a girl and is kind of like, because he's kind of making ties, he doesn't want to leave, and he's also a talented musician and could possibly go to, I think it's Juilliard. Because of this, he kind of wants to lay down roots, where even though he has a family that's like never laying down roots because they're on the run, because they don't want their parents to go to prison. And yeah, it's a really good movie, very emotional. I think it's interesting as well to question like morality as well, because the parents are wanted, but they're wanted for like a protest, like I think a protest that went wrong, but it was a protest against, I believe, the Vietnam War, and it went wrong, where I think maybe they let off, I don't know if it was a bomb or something, but they let off something, and they thought there was no one they thought there was no one there where they did it, but there was. And so they're wanted. And yeah, interesting morality, because you don't want the parents to get caught, like you don't, because they've got two sons that they're trying to raise their kids. But yeah, really, really good movie, really nice performances. As I said, River Phoenix, but you also have Martha Plimpton, and she does an amazing job. And yeah, I just really, really, really enjoy this movie. Next up, we have The Outsiders. So this is a movie that is an adaptation of my favourite book of all time. And when I found out that was a movie, I just really wanted to watch it. And this movie is objectively bad. Like, it's a bit bad. It's not unwatchable, but it's not like amazing by any stretch. But I love it because it's my favourite novel brought to life. The cast is iconic and I still enjoy it and I still have a good time, but I'm not going to sit here and say that it's really good, because it's not. But it was actually directed by Francis Ford Coppola, and I'm like, what happened for this one? I don't know what happened. But yeah, and as I said, the cast is like amazing. Like, you've got Patrick Swayze, you've got Tom Cruise, you've got Rob Lowe, you've got Thomas C. Howell, you've got Emilio Estevez, like you've got the guy who plays the Karate Kid. Absolutely stacked cast, and I will forever love it. I just love it because yeah, it's my favorite book brought to life, so you know, I really like it. Next up, we have a TV show, and it is Jimmy Private School Girls. This is a comedy of this man. I can't remember his name. Is it Chris Lilly? Yeah, Chris Lilly, where he pretends to be a teenage girl, which when you think about it is kind of like a bit weird and creepy, but we'll go past that. It's a TV show, comedy of him playing a teenage girl, and I watched this, I think it became a thing on Tumblr, and I watched it because I saw like all the gifs about it and I found it hilarious. I still think it's really funny, like it's really funny. It's just really, really funny. So I have it on DVD because it's just iconic, and I really enjoyed it when I was younger. Next up, we have Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, and I have this on DVD because I love this one. I think it's so good. I think it's a really good prequel, and I think it's a really good self-contained story, because it all just happens in this story, and it's just, I don't know, all the loose ends are tied away, and it's just good. I really like it. I really like the characters, namely Cassian, love of my life, even though I haven't seen the Cassian TV show because I cannot be asked with these TV shows that they keep making. Yeah, Cassian, played by Diego Luna, love him a lot. But yeah, just a really, really good movie. It's essentially chronicles the time before the first Star Wars movie, so it's like just before the first Star Wars movie starts, like the first one is in, you know, Princess Leia and Luke, shows what happened before that. And yeah, I really, really like it. It's one of my favorite like newer Star Wars movies, and yeah, I really enjoy it, and I actually think it was really, really well done. Next up, as previously talked about, we have The Maze Runner, because as I said, I have all of them. So here's the first one, here's the original, because I do have all of them, all three in my possession. Next up, and I absolutely love this film, we have Fences. Now, Fences is essentially about a couple, I don't know when it's set, maybe the 60s or could be the 70s, a couple in America, I'm not sure where, to be honest. a couple somewhere in America, a black couple who are just living their life, and it just essentially shows, yeah, kind of like, I can't really say much about spoiling it, but it shows like the dramas, the things that happen in their life with them, and also their son that they have. And it's really, really good. I really, really love this film, really enjoy it. The acting performances are amazing, and I really, really liked it. And I was like, wow, this feels so like dramatic and the performances are great, interesting, I wonder like why it's like this. And then I find out it's based on a play, and I'm like, well duh, like yeah, it's such a, it really feels like a play, like yeah, like it's like monologues basically. And I love plays. I studied drama at university and I love plays, so I was like, no wonder I love this movie so much. But yes, I do really like it, and yeah, just the performances are so good, but also the story, and yeah, the emotion, it makes me cry a lot. Yeah, 10 out of 10 for Fences. Next up, as pre-mentioned a little bit before, we have The Room. So this is the one that goes with The Disaster Artist. This is the actual movie that Tommy Wiseau made that's like comically bad. Yeah, so bad that it's good. And I just had to have it because I was like, I need to be able, like if I show anyone The Disaster Artist, I need to be able to be like, and here's The Room, like you need to watch The Room as well to fully appreciate The Disaster Artist, I feel like. So yes, here is The Room. We have technically 2 movies left, although one of them is a trilogy, which you'll understand in a sec, but 2 movies left. We have Hacksaw Ridge as second to last. I love Hacksaw Ridge. I think it's so good. I actually really, really enjoy war films, even though I think this is the only one I have in my collection, isn't it? I'm gonna have to get some more because there are some war films that I really love. Yeah, I really, really enjoy war films. I love the ones that have the sentiment, like essentially anti-war sentiments, which I think a lot of them do have, because I think it's hard to like show how horrifying war is and then still be pro-war. Like it's, yeah, I think that would be very difficult. There are definitely the films that like glorify it and stuff, but they're not the films I'm talking about that I like. But I love Hacksaw Ridge. It tells the story of Desmond Doss, who was someone who got, what's the word? No, he signed up, I can't remember. He either got conscripted or he signed up of his own will, I'm not sure. He signs up to fight in, I believe, World War II for America, and he, in training, because basically he's a very religious person, and in training he basically said like, oh, I can't touch a gun. So when they were trying to do their training, like teach them how to fire their rifles and stuff, he was like, I can't do it because I can't touch a gun. And he basically is a pacifist, but who is still going to war essentially, and not being a conscientious objector, still, you know, going. And he essentially wanted to be a medic and not have a gun. And then there's this whole lawsuit all about it, about how they need to put him in prison because like, how dare he, like whatever. But he ends up going to the battlefield in his platoon as the medic, so not having to have a gun. And it's just about his incredible story of how when he fought in this platoon, he managed to save so many people as a medic, because he did. And yeah, it's an insane story, and it's true, and I think it's very well made, very well paced. The emotion is good, the acting is good. I mean, Andrew Garfield plays Desmond Doss, and Andrew Garfield is just incredibly talented. And yeah, it's just a really important story, and I also think very inspiring. Like, I think it's just inspiring that a person like Desmond Doss would exist. Like, I think it restores a little bit of faith, because it's like, oh my god, someone this pure and selfless and kind actually exists, like that's, or existed, because he's passed away now. Crazy. Yeah, I think a very, very important story of a hero essentially. And I really like Hacksaw Ridge, and it's the only war film I have in my possession. There are more that I would like to add that I think are good, but yeah, this is the only one I have for now. And finally, the final movies that I have, and it's a trilogy but I have it all together, is the Back to the Future trilogy. I love Back to the Future so much. It was shown to me by my sister's boyfriend, age 10 I think, because he was outraged that we'd never seen it, which rightly so. I don't know why my parents never showed me it. He showed me it and I was just obsessed. I thought it was so good. I was obsessed with Marty McFly. I was in love with Marty McFly, to be honest. I was in love with Michael J. Fox, like, so much. I think it's such a good trilogy. It's so fun. It's very clever. Yeah, love Back to the Future so much. Yeah, I always tell people to watch it. I'm like, have you seen Back to the Future? And they're like, no. And I'm like, You need to watch the full trilogy right now. And I did actually force my flatmates to watch the full trilogy at uni. I was like, guys, you have to watch it. And I had it on DVD, so I was like, we're watching this. And we did, and they watched it and they really enjoyed it because of course they did. It's amazing. But yeah, that's Back to the Future and actually the final DVDs on my shelf. So that's the end of the video. Those were all the DVDs for the second part of my shelf tour. I hope you enjoyed watching. Just going through it, I've realised the gaps in my collection because there are movies that I love, absolutely love, that are not here, unfortunately. So, you know, I'm still collecting, I'm still going on with it. I definitely have a lot of Disney films, but as I said, it's because I never bought any of those or were gifted any of those. We just always had them in our possession as a family, and then I just kind of claimed them. Yeah, there are so many more movies that I would love to add to my collection that I've seen over the years, so I definitely need to, you know, get some more, definitely, but I'm also happy with what I've got. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching, and that's it from me for today. Bye.